Today's webinar is called Generative AI and Recruitment, How AI Will Transform Hiring. So happy to have you all here. Huge demand for this webinar, so very happy to have you here. My name is Heather Salerno, and I help lead the marketing team. And with that, I will turn it over to Chris.
Great, thanks, Heather. Hi, everybody. My name is Chris Forman. I'm part of the founding team at Appcast, and I want to share three things. The things that I think we know at Appcast about how generative AI is going to change the lives of recruiters and talent acquisition professionals and recruitment marketers in the near term. What we think is going to happen. So we know certain things, some things we think is going to happen. And the last thing is one thing that we're super excited about. All right, so what do we know? The first thing that we know is that generative AI is going to build better job ads, and better job ads leads to better performance from a recruiting standpoint. Performance as measured by more better applicants. So I think most of you signed up for this know a little bit about Appcast. This isn't meant to be a commercial, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about us because it explains how we've got the data here and is going to talk about the performance impact of generative AI. So we build a recruitment marketing platform that buys and automates the optimization of job ads at scale. Like, we literally buy over $1 billion worth of job ads every year. And we use artificial intelligence in our platform and machine learning to basically put the ad in the right spot, in the right place, at the right time, at the right price to get the applicants that you guys need to fill your jobs. So it's pretty cool. It works. It's neat. The byproduct of our platform is a massive data set. So like, if you're buying job ads at our scale, we have all the job ads. We know where they got clicked on, when they're applied at, and for close to 80% of our employer customers, we track the click to the apply to the quality applicant to the hire. So we actually can track what drives hires and clicks and applies. And so we boil the ocean. We do a lot of research, and we've learned a few things. That if you have the right job title and the right length for the job title and description, just the size, like not too short, not too long, you can increase the number of applies by 25%. If you actually list company benefits, right? And I'm not talking like you need to have good benefits. You just list them in a bulleted list. You can increase the number of applies that you get by 22%. And also, if you write the job descriptions in a particular way, to use language that appeals to anyone that reads it, you can actually increase applications as well. So this is based on a research study out of University of Waterloo and Duke University that found men and women read things like, and that there are words that women identify with, men identify with, and depending on how frequently you use masculine words in an ad and how frequently you use feminine words, or if you actually end up using neutral language, it impacts the number of applications you get. It's really cool. And so generative AI is really good at synthesis. So knowing that the content of a job ad delivers better outcomes, you can do something like this. Here's a prompt for ChatGPT. Pretend you are a certified nursing assistant. Put in the company, like if you're this company, put in the company name, job title, company description, benefits, and what you know about the job requirements and responsibilities of being a certified nurse assistant. Write a job description that you will love to apply for. Use bullets for benefits. Bam. It did this in 12 seconds, and it's fantastic. We're currently putting this through a set of A/B tests. I don't need to test it. I can tell you that compared to what the job ad was before, this is going to perform perhaps as high as 2x better in terms of generating applications. So, but this is right here, simple, free, easy. And what's cool about it is that the large language model, the generative AIs that you use, whether you ChatGPT, Bard, something else, as they get more up to date with the data that they use to train the models, you really can do this. Like, you update your corporate career site, and then very quickly you're going to be able to say, hey, can you rewrite this job ad with our employer brand proposition? Be sure to talk about the benefits that we have. Also, can you use, referencing the, the research project from the University of Waterloo, please ensure that there's, you use neutral language to improve conversion rates for the job ad. Doesn't cost a thing. You're going to get more for the same dollars. You're going to get more applies. Totally cool. Now, at Appcast, we also started, we're just startup folks. And so we started a startup out of Appcast, and it's called Appcast Labs. Tom Chevalier, who is our founding chief product officer, and 4 of our really talented product and development people spun off into a new unit. And all that they do is they build cool new stuff. And so we've believed for a long time that building tools that would allow recruitment marketers to structurally upgrade the quality of their job advertising, because of the data that we saw that said, if you just do it a little bit better, you get way better yields, was a big idea. And so Tom and his team have, starting in February this year, started to build this tech into our platforms, and it's working slick. In fact, one prototype in 1 week delivered 127 more incremental hires for a client just by tweaking the job ad content. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the work that they're doing, and there's 3 things that they're doing. The first thing is really simple. And this actually has a very practical implication in our space. Everybody loves free. I love free. My mother loves free. Everybody loves free. There are certain job sites out there that provide free traffic on your jobs. Your jobs need to be indexed by them. They'll scrape them off of your applicant tracking system, or in some cases, you send them a feed. And then they just put them into their index. And when job seekers do a search, they sometimes show up, and you get job seekers that'll come and apply for jobs online. The biggest one of these is Indeed. The second largest one, or largest, is Google. Indeed has, they're really good and really sharp about ensuring that their index of jobs is very job seeker friendly. And so they've got rules that if they're going to give away free traffic, basically index your jobs, they have to follow a set of guidelines. And if your jobs don't follow those guidelines, then you don't get any free traffic. So in this situation, like for this particular client, they were having difficulty getting their jobs included in Indeed organic traffic because their job titles were part-time licensed practical nurse, Sunday, Monday, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's a non-compliant title for organic traffic. You can't have shifts. It's got to be descriptive about the job, not other things. And so we built artificial intelligence into a tool that takes all the jobs off your career site, and you can pay to sponsor ads that have those types of titles. But if you want it for free, they need to change. And so it automatically will turn all of your job titles that are not compliant into compliant job titles so that you can continue to get organic traffic. This is the case where we actually got 127 incremental hires in 1 week. And that's all a function of just making your job ads from your ATS compliant for organic traffic. Another thing that we're using AI to do is that when more and more on job sites, job seekers are reviewing jobs quickly in things that are, from a graphic design standpoint, are called cards. And so the card has the job title, a little description of what's going on in the job, and then information that's important to job seekers that's pulled out in noted metadata. And so, like, how much do you get paid? When is, what days of the week do you work? Is there, is it hourly? Can you work remotely? All that type of stuff. So we developed another AI that you don't have to train. You just throw all the job ads at it, and it automatically finds and answers all those questions and puts that data into specific database, they're called nodes, which make it easy for job sites to actually grab that information and show it to job seekers. If you do that, you actually get more eyeballs on your jobs. So it's really boring, but it works. The other thing is, I don't know if you guys have gone to a job site lately, it's summary that of a job, like you send them a whole job and then some sites do a good job of summarizing it and some sites don't. Well, this, platform also allows you to summarize your jobs very, very effectively. And last but not least, that research project from the University of Waterloo and Duke, found that if you use neutral language rather than either masculine or feminine, you can dramatically increase the number of applicants that you get. You also can increase the gender diversity of applicants that you get if you choose it the right way. And so we built an AI that actually does that as well. And the UI is kind of cool. It feeds in all the jobs. It identifies the jobs that has a problem the most, and then it asks you how you want to solve the problem. So it's kind of cool. All this stuff is being built into our ad platform, or is already in our ad platform. And so this is already changing how recruitment marketers are going to operate. Traditionally, it's been like your job description is your job description. It is what it is. You get what you get. Now you're able to use software to basically build better ads. Better ads deliver better outcomes. All right. So the other thing that we know is more hires for less money. So the other part of job advertising, if you get your ads right, you're going to get more. But everything in the United States right now with regards to job ads themselves is pretty much driven by pay for performance advertising. You send in a corpus of jobs that you want to sponsor. You say how much money you want to spend on those jobs. And then there's bidding of how much you're willing to pay for an eyeball for somebody to go click on one of those jobs. And what's interesting is that when you're buying pay for performance online advertising, you need to actually manage it. So unlike buying postings where it's $300 per job and you get what you get, don't be upset. When you've got 100 jobs and $1,000 to spend and you need to get 20 applicants per job, you got to do stuff like unsponsored jobs that are getting enough applications. And you need to bid up, say you're willing to pay more for a job ad click on the jobs that are not getting enough applications. And you should spend less on the ones that are getting too many applications. So it's basically just kind of like, in some sense, driving a car. You got to put it in gear, you got to hit the accelerator, you got to hit the brake, you got to put on the blinker signal. Yes, theoretically, some cars can drive themselves, but you got to drive the car. And so what's neat at Appcast is, again, another AI is we've used the data that we've developed over, the last decade that we've been building this technology to, in essence, understand the signals that are coming out of the performance in your job ads and make changes in your bidding out in how the jobs are advertised, both location and how much we're willing to pay for those ads to be advertised. And these new bidding algorithms have goals. So you say, I want as many applies as you can get me as fast as possible, or I need to get 20 people a day every day to apply for this job for the next 30 days. Go do that. And so you tell the goals, but then the AI, in essence, becomes your recruitment marketing person managing all your job ads. And this sounds geeky, and there's no pretty picture to show you. It's the most transformative piece of technology that we've probably ever built. Literally at scale, we're lowering cost per hires by over 20%, while also increasing the number of hires companies get. And so, especially during the COVID years, it used to be that you could, before COVID, theoretically, if you got really good at buying job ads, you could get both lower cost and higher volume. During COVID, that became impossible. You could either get more affordable and you could get higher volume. And now, thanks to, AI and the ability to do math faster than we can and to think about it faster, what's actually happening is that we can get back to a place where you can have lower cost and more outcomes. It's game-changing stuff. All right, so those are the things we know. Those things are happening. We know they're going to happen. And that's going to impact recruitment marketing in a material way. Candidly, what it means is you're going to get more applications for less money if you do it right. That means that you're going to free up, hopefully, some of that money to go do other cool stuff. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. The other thing, though, that's interesting is the other guy gets a vote too, right? We're not the only ones that are going to be using artificial intelligence. Job seekers are already starting to use it. And so one of another Axel Springer company in the United States, Business Insider. So they own Appcast, they own Business Insider, Politico, a bunch of other, kind of big published firms. They wrote an article about how job seekers are starting to use ChatGPT to write better applications and do it faster. So, we're using it to improve the recruiting side. They're using it to increase their chances of getting hired. And specifically in two ways. One is, to create, for lack of a better word, spam bots that can go and quickly and easily apply for jobs at a higher rate. That's probably not good for us and probably not good for them. The other thing that it's being used for, though, is, if you go to career coaches, they've always said that if you're applying for a job, read the job description, craft a really good cover letter, and craft a resume that speaks directly to what the hiring manager wants. That used to be a giant pain in the butt. With generative AI, it is no longer a pain in the butt. It's actually something that's very easy to do. And so that is good for us, because one of the flat sides of hiring managers, and I think the entire hiring process in corporate America, is sometimes we miss people who can do the job because their application doesn't say it the way that we want to hear it. And so in some ways, this may actually create more equity. So more women in development, more minorities getting into positions that, underrepresented groups getting into positions that, they might not have been considered for before. So it's happening. And in fact, a proof point of this is hilarious. This site called fastapply.io was built by a former Appcast engineer who now works for Booz Allen, and he did it as a side project. It's cool as crunch. So Jack Taylor built it, and it allows you to find jobs. It does a little bit of the automation of the applying for jobs, but then it does stuff like, as you're going through the application process, the ATS asks you a question, and there's an AI that gives you answers that are well suited for the job. So you can copy, paste, edit, and put it on in. It also gives you mock interview templates and cover letter templates based on the job itself. And, Jack's brilliant and he's a great engineer, but I think he did this watching hockey games and drinking beer. I mean, it was a passion project for him, but he also didn't go raise $10 million to go do this. And, even 5 years ago, building the tech that Jack did here to have the impact that it has would have cost multiples of tens of millions of dollars. So it's totally cool. So this is coming. We just don't necessarily know when and how it's going to get to the mainstream. This is also something we think about. So this is from Bard. It's hard to read, but the prompt here was, is Appcast a good place to work? Okay. This is what we got here. Appcast is a fast-paced, growing company with strong company culture. It offers competitive pay, blah, 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 blah. And then it's got a bunch of quotes. So I think, if we think about employer brand and perception, back when I got into recruitment marketing, there was no user-generated content. There was no Glassdoor. So people understood what a company was like to work for through word of mouth, or the boilerplate that was on their corporate careers, or in the recruiting video that they saw. User-generated content has allowed people to start to share what it's like, but there's upsides and downsides to that, right? Disgruntled workers, you've got lots of different data to synthesize, whether or not people keep the Glassdoor stuff up to date, or the Indeed reviews up to date, kind of difficult. This, I guarantee you, job seekers are now, before applying for a job, instead of going and looking across all these sites and doing some research, is doing just what I did there. Asking a generative AI about whether or not you're a good place to work. And the answer that we get from these platforms is what's going to dictate whether or not somebody actually applies. And it's got some good stuff in here. So Appcast is a 4.8 Glassdoor rating. And it's not fake, it's real. We're a good place to work. We have a few where some people were disgruntled and sad. And so this edited things and kind of blurred the eyes and gave the answer that was the middle of the bell curve from everyone, which was good. So I kind of like that. But it also makes me worry as a recruitment marketer. Like, I can understand Glassdoor. It's transparent. I can go there and I can read the reviews. I can make sure the pictures are up to date. I can make sure that I tell my story as well. How do we do this when somebody else is bespokely answering these questions and we can't see what they're saying? So just like when search became a big deal, like search engines, search engine optimization became a huge thing, making sure that you've got your content into the search engines. I believe that we are going to need to think about how we teach Skynet how to talk about us and help them understand who we are so that they can answer these questions a little bit more. Well, they can at least answer the questions in a balanced way. So those are the two things that we think are going to happen. Is you're going to see job seeker behavior and how they interact with you change and improve in some ways, and perhaps increase volume in others. Also, I think from a brand recognition and user-generated content, and whether or not you're recognized as an employer of choice, we all need to develop a strategy for ensuring that the generative AIs have access to the full scope of information about who we are as employers. But this is the thing that gets me excited. Okay, so we've been talking about job ads fundamentally and applications up to this point in time. Globally, the job advertising business is about a $40 billion a year business. Okay, $40 billion. It's big. It's really big. The global staffing business, meaning companies whose job it is to get people to come to work for you, either through search or short-term temp or outsourcing or contingent labor, any of that is a $620 billion industry. And based on its compounded annual growth rate, it's going to be a $1 trillion industry not too far down the road. And that's being driven by fundamentally in the developed economies, you have lower birth rates, so populations are getting smaller while the need for workers is increasing. And so, like, big supply and demand imbalance. So huge market. And there's a debate right now about whether or not ChatGPT and Bard have passed what's called the Turing test. So the Turing test was named after a brilliant guy, Dr. Turing, forget his first name. Maybe somebody in the chat can throw it in. He worked at Bletchley Park. He helped break the Enigma codes. He built a computer that broke the Enigma codes, which was the German secret codes during World War II. They say that outside of the development of nuclear weapons, it was the most impactful piece of technology in the war. And his test about artificial, Alan, thank you, everyone, Alan. His test was you have a person ask questions of an AI and another real human being. And if the person asking a question cannot tell the difference between the answers from the human being and the AI, then it's passed the test. Now, some people believe ChatGPT has passed the Turing test. Some people say it hasn't officially done so. I don't care. It's going to at some point shortly. And so if in fact you have a generative AI where a human can't really tell the difference, and if in fact you can meet a dead guy, how I met Axel Springer, and clearly I could tell it was not Axel, but give it 6 months. Then all of a sudden, if we think about what the staffing market is globally, you have recruiters and staffing firms on one side that are finding candidates, talking to them, talking to hiring managers at the employer level, and connecting the two of them. It doesn't take a huge stretch to think that all of a sudden we could be having virtual recruiters disrupt this $1 trillion market. very easily, where it's going to flatten and the complexity of connecting talent and employers. And I'm done doing startups. This is my last one. But what I can tell you is that if I was younger and still had gas in the tank, this is the thing that excites me, because this represents the theoretical opportunity to truly transform how human capital moves in this world. And, outside of finding somebody that you love and having a job that, takes care of yourself and your family and is somewhat satisfying, is one of the most important parts of our lives. So if you can transform that, that's pretty exciting.